GreenSpace Training have partnered with SANS. I'm going to take you through today how we came about, why we're here, what we're offering, and how we're going to support the industry moving forward around environmental sustainability. We've partnered with SANS. They were one of the first association partnerships to come on board and take up this training. I'll talk you through how this came about, and then you can ask me any questions at the end. Or, as Sarah said, please feel free to put questions in the question box, and Sarah can ask these if you don't want to ask them yourself. So, just got to move forward. Right, me. Just a little bit about me to begin with. I have been supporting the construction associations and been involved in construction for around 20 odd years. I've owned a construction business with my husband at one stage, and my current husband's in civil construction at the moment. I have in GreenSpace Training, there's also Lisa Gordon. She's our learning designer. Her husband's in construction as well. We have both worked, with construction and professional development for many, many years. How this kind of came about, or how we started. Oh, here. So my background is working with the building officials for the past 2 years, developed a training that supported a qualification. So the building officials have a qualification, a certification in building surveying, but they needed a training and development that really supported that qualification. So Lisa and I came online with them, worked with councils nationwide, looked at what that training needed to be, and put that training online so that councils weren't traveling all around the country to do their training and development. When we finished doing that training, we were approached by a couple of small associations to develop some online learning for them to support their members. And we were also approached by Waihanga Araro, which are the Workforce Development Council for Construction and Infrastructure, to look at building a skill set framework for what a qualification might look like around environmental sustainability for the construction sector. So my role beginning of last year was to go out and interview associations, interview civil, like vertical and horizontal, talk to them about what they were and weren't doing, where they saw gaps, where there were problems. We looked at who a qualification might be made for or designed for, what skill sets were going to be included in that qual, and how it may be rolled out. Why do we need to do this? Well, things are changing in our environment. So government has goals to reduce carbon emissions by 2035. Councils across the country are bringing in bylaws to requiring waste management plans. We've got construction currently contributing to approximately 50% of landfill at the moment, so that's going to have to change. I know that Auckland City Council, I think they're working on their they've got consenting for their last landfill going through now, and then they're not going to have any more landfills. So if you're working in construction in Auckland, things have to change quite quickly in that space. Banks are also moving towards requiring sustainability documentation for lending. So if you're building a big project, you're going to have to show what you are doing around sustainability, waste management, water management across the board. You're going to have to show the bank that you've got a sustainability plan in place before they'll give you any money for that sort of thing. And government is also changing legislation. So I know that we've had a change of government at the end of last year. And so prior to that, in my talks with government and the people that were sitting in those places at that time, they said that legislation is sitting there ready to go. The bills are sitting there ready to be passed. It won't really matter what government's in there, whether you believe that or not. It won't really matter. Things are definitely going to change because they have to change. We can't continue to carry on the way that we've been working. But even if you think that's not going to happen, local government, councils putting in bylaws to stop waste management, to require waste management plans when you're submitting your consenting forms, that's all happening here and now, and that's happening a lot over the next 2 years. And the banks are happening here and now too. So when we started talking to people around what training they might need, civil construction, the big players were well on their way in this journey. So they had sustainability visions and mission statements. They had amazing roadmaps. They drilled down the skill sets on how they were going to train all their staff internally. They were doing environmental training internally as well. So they were upskilling, not necessarily as subbies, but certainly their people that were working for them. Their staff and employees were already upskilled. Most of the big training building companies as well had some pretty good stuff happening around sustainability, but the smaller companies and the sub-trades less so. So we saw a big range of people at lots of different places in their journey around sustainability when we started. What everyone did want is they wanted consistent, cost-effective training. They couldn't afford to take their teams out for days on end. They wanted training that they could do internally and externally. So some companies wanted to bring a trainer on to do some training. Some companies wanted to do some sort of training themselves and then train their own teams. Regarding the qualification, so if I just flick back, a little bit to Waihinga Araro, when we were in talks with them, we recommended that there was an NZQA qual developed for apprentices. So like a level 2 or to level 4 NZQA qual around environmental sustainability. And we drilled down on all the competencies that would look, that could look like. And that would go across all of the apprenticeship training organisations. So BCITO would be rolled out. It'd be rolled out with master plumbers. You name it, everyone would kind of have access to that. However, the feedback that came back was then what about our managers? And our managers and our business owners needs to be doing this before our apprentices are. So people like New Zealand Green Building Council, when they looked at what we were doing, they were like, that's great. However, there's nothing available at the moment and we need something here and now. It's going to take a long time to develop a qual and we don't have that time. So what we've done is we've put together 2 online courses, which I'll talk you through in a second. They are around developing sustainable practices and leading sustainable initiatives. They are for small business owners and business managers. In doing the course, you develop an action plan for change. So this is the content of kind of module 1. So there's 5 about 15 to 20 minute kind of a mini or micro modules that make up developing practices. So we look at sustainability, the big picture, why we need to be sustainable. We've got case studies and things in there to give you examples of what different people are doing in different areas. We look at your personal impact. We look at construction practices that are happening at the moment and areas that you can make changes in. We look at how you can make a difference, and then we look at planning for change. So what happens is while you go through this online module, you watch a video, it reads it out, so it's not reading, it's all talked through to you. There's reading there if you want to do that. And then there's a page which is like your action plan page, and you type in what you're going to do. So you type in, it might talk to you about, what can your company do around your vision for sustainability? And it'll give you examples of what a vision statement might look like around environmental sustainability. You type that in there. What will you do? What are your easiest wins? You have a think with your business around what you could be doing that are your easiest wins. You put those in there. The blocks, the things that are stopping you from doing that at the moment, or the things that might be easy, but you can't do because there's not waste people to take that waste, or you put those in. And so you form an action plan as you go through both modules. The second module is leading initiatives. So this is all around your team buy-in, selling your message to your team, getting everyone on board, planning with your team on rolling out whatever you're going to do, whatever you decided from your action plan in the first module, rolling that out with your team, getting everyone's buy-in for it, and then evaluating for continuous improvement. So our kind of goal for the year in rolling this training out with construction associations across the board was that small business owners or managers would do these 2 modules, would form an action plan of change, have in writing what they are doing at the moment, and then maybe 1 or 2 other areas that they could work on. And then as associations, the association can come in and advocate for them if they can't do what they want to do because that's not available or hasn't been developed by council or something at the moment. We can advocate for change in those areas. Now, when you do these two modules, you do module 1 and you do your action plan, you do module 2, you do your action plan. In between those, you have a discussion group. So here you can see how it's rolled out. Module 1, you create your action plan for change, and then you can print that out or have it online as a PDF. It's editable, so you can go back into it. So when you have your discussion group, you say you bought the module online today or next week or something. There's discussion groups in March, which people will come together, and I'll put people into little online mini workshops, and you'll talk about your area, what is and isn't working for you, and then you could kind of tweak or adjust your action plan. And then same with leading initiatives with your teams. You can come back online with other people that are working in this area at the moment. You can discuss how they're trying to roll out things. We'll put you into little working groups again. We'll come back online and hear what's happening. And then we're here to basically, as associations and GreenSpace, to support you in advocating and everything else that you need. From there, once you've done those two modules, you'll submit your action plan for change. At the moment, no one's going to audit that. We don't care what you are doing. What we care about is that you're putting something down on paper in writing and that you're starting to make a change. Then you'll receive your certificate for doing that. What we're working towards moving forward is we're in talks with banks at the moment so that these modules will align with bank requirements. So if you're a scaffolding business and you've got a big project coming up and you need some lending or something to support you in that, you'll be able to show them that you've done training, that you've got an action plan, a vision, mission statement, and that you're well on the way to having sustainable practices within your business. We're also working with New Zealand Green Building Councils to kind of do a tradies green certificate. So in my head, what this looks like is for these two modules, there'll be maybe one green sticker that will show that you and your business have bought into sustainability. You understand why we need to do it. You're talking to your team about it. You've got an action plan for change. You're measuring and monitoring these things. And then for each of the sectors like plumbing and drainage, scaffolding, insulation, roofing, there'll probably be another form of training that'll come in that'll work around waste management, water, whatever it's going to be. So there'll be something to click into it. So there might be two pieces to that. And that's kind of what's happening in our conversations with New Zealand Green Building Council at the moment. And this is all helpful for procurement opportunities. So I know that if you're going for any big RFPs, a lot of them are asking questions in their RFPs. What is your sustainability plan? Can you prove that you've done it? So these certificates and the Sustainability Toolkit, the certificate will go to provide evidence around you're on this kind of journey for sustainability. This is our starting point for change. So the program isn't developed specifically at the moment for plumbing and drainage or scaffolding or anything specific. It's very high level around your why and engaging with your team with it and identifying your areas for change. I think that that's a great starting point because in supporting associations, what we want to do is measure how many people in like scaffolding are working towards sustainability at the moment, how many haven't and don't know where to start, who has done this training by the end of the year, and what else did the scaffolding industry need to be able to do what they want to be able to do moving forward. So we're working really closely with the Scaffolding Association to kind of highlight any development needs. Sarah and I are working closely together. So as we have some of these discussion groups, we'll bring in additional webinars to support learners around, specifically what comes out, where the problem areas are. So that's kind of an overview of it. It's pretty short and sweet. There's another, but wait, there's more. We've also partnered with Outward Bound. So that's one part of it. There's an Outward Bound experience too. So for anyone that kind of wants to take the learning to the next level, we've got the same, it starts off the same. We've got developing practices and leading initiatives, your two online learning modules, plus your discussion groups. Then you have a 4-day Outward Bound experience, which is at the end of the year. So you would do, if you sign up for the Learn, Live, Lead Sustainability Toolkit, you'll do developing practices in September, leading initiatives in October, the Outward Bound experience in November. There'll be some reflection time where you'll look at your action plan over the Christmas holiday period, and then we'll come back in February and we'll do a post-course discussion group where all those leaders that went away on that experience will come back together again and talk about, what is and isn't working and where we can make some change. We'll submit our action plans and we'll receive our certificate. So that's like the next level of learning. Q&As, that's me. I can go backwards and forwards in that presentation. I know I speak fast. So if anyone has any questions, please let me know.
Excellent, thank you, Jackie. So everyone else, feel free to pop in your questions now into the Q&A tab. We have had a question come in ahead of this webinar. Someone has asked, are sustainable, longer lasting materials or products a focus area for contractors and customers? Are the advantage of these materials or products understood, or is further education required?
So I was with the New Zealand Green Building Council yesterday. One of their, so they have Homestar, so they have certification at the moment for the performance of a house. One of their big issues, and when they were looking at this training that we're putting out for tradies, and when we're in our talks of what that needs to do, one of their big issues at the moment is tradies subbing out, or builders subbing out a product that is specified for a product that, for whatever reason, for a product that's an inferior, that won't last as long, or is more cost effective, or is meant to do something but has to be replaced earlier. That's their biggest their challenge area. Now, my personal thoughts on this is it's going to take government coming in to say we can't make these cheap products anymore for that to change. However, I'm really interested what comes back from these courses and these action plans over the year around subbies coming back and saying to us, we need more availability of these products. The suppliers need to stop these products from coming in, or the efficiencies, I think, are going to be made when we get a superior product in that might cost a little bit more, but will last the distance and be able to be repaired, rather than putting in a cheaper product and that product needs to be repaired or replaced 3 or 4 times over the same lifespan as the product that was specified in the first place. Now, I am not a builder, and my husband was, so I know all of the issues that come back with replacing products. I also know about product availability and all of those kind of challenges as well. So it's not, there's no quick fix for a lot of these things. And we can very quickly go down into the weeds and find one thing that's really challenging that we can't fix at the moment. And I'm trying not to do that. I'm trying to put that into a box and say, what can we do? Actually, what are we already doing really well? Like, let's record what we're doing really well already. Now, we've nailed that. What is around? What do we know that we need to also be doing in the future? Does that align with what banks and lenders and things need at the moment? Does that align with new council bylaws? Is that going to align with what government does? New Zealand Green Building Council came back to me yesterday and were like, can you develop a module around carbon? And my thoughts at the moment are probably waste. I think we're probably going to see waste as the quickest win for 2024. We're working with like Terry and like Master. There's so many people, Master Builders. I don't want to name names, but there's so many people that are doing some great work in waste. There's apps coming out all the time. There's apps out already that are going to really help us manage our waste. I know that councils, I was talking to some councils this week who they're working really closely with us in identifying where waste can go. We're going to be running some regional council kind of webinars and events and things around sustainability, so councils can better understand where they can advocate or support the industry in making changes as well. So we've got to start somewhere. And I think this is a really good, solid starting point, and it will provide evidence for the change that we need to happen.
That is perfect, Jackie. Thank you very much for that answer. It doesn't look like we have any other questions, so we might just wrap this up now, unless anyone wants to quickly start typing and fire anything through. But otherwise, I'd just like to thank you again, Jackie, for joining us today and taking the time out of your day to present for us. Thank you again for being part of this session, and we hope to see you again in our future webinars, and I'm sure we'll be teaming up with Jackie again in the future to do many more of these webinars. So from Sans, ka kite anō.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.